Hello there, Rabbi. What a beautiful sunrise. Ready to go surfing?
Yes, I my board is all waxed and I'm ready to hit the waves, Joe.
Well, I never thought of you as a surfer until now, but obviously I have to change my mind. And of course, that leads one to the subject of putting people in a box. The rabbi would never go surfing, but obviously you're a cowabunga dude.
If I want to ruin a party or a gathering where I only know a few people, all I have to do is let word get around that I'm a rabbi. I can ruin the best, happiest beach party. It's amazing because people put me in a box. Right away, they clean up their language. There's subjects they won't talk about. And then the next thing is they do rabbi shopping. And they'll come up to me and say, or would you do, or what would happen? Which means that they are looking or discussed or got the answer they didn't like. So all of a sudden, the word gets around, I can be a wet blanket, pigeonholed. They put me in a box and it spreads. Next, I was chaplain for 40 years in a psychiatric hospital. So sometimes I use a different approach at a party. Someone starts talking to me, what do you do? I don't say I'm a rabbi. What I say is I'm a chaplain in a psychiatric hospital. And I've been there for, whether it's 20, 30, 40, whatever the time frame was. And it can go either way. Sometimes people won't talk to me, won't say anything. And then sometimes they begin to tell me about psychological problems, or I find out different medications people are on. I can go to a party and find people who are chronic depression, clinical depression, bipolar, and I can also find people telling me about family members with Alzheimer's disease. So that's a different box people put me in. Now, if I want to have a good time, particularly here in DC, when someone asks me what I do, I just say I work for the government. Now, remember, I'm retired now, so I'm reflecting back. But what I would say is I work for the government. And we're in DC, everybody works for the government. And so no one's really interested in what you do. So I can have a good time at a party. So depending on how I'm feeling and how many people are there and what I want to do to the party, I can pick one of three different occupations.
I mean, isn't it okay to put people in a box sometimes? George Clooney said that in that movie where my grandmother used to put people in a box. She was right. It's easier to deal with groups of people by categorizing them.
If we do that, we're going to miss. We're going to miss who they are. We're going to miss something interesting. You're going to miss someone's occupation. You're going to miss good stories. Too much will be missed, particularly if the box discriminates. If you're doing it because of religion, because of nationality, because of color, that is definitely wrong. That box has nowhere to go, but it's all bad. And it's only easier to deal with people if you don't want to be open to new ideas.
But then isn't it your responsibility? And I'm just using this you as an example because you're the handiest rabbi around for you to educate people whenever they start to put you in that box?
Again, that's why in my own mind, I review when someone says, what do you do? Do I want to educate? Do I want to talk about Judaism? Do I want to talk about psychiatry, about therapy? Or do I want to just enjoy other people? So I actually do that, Joe. Every moment is different. It depends on the context and the party, where we're going, what we're doing. There's a number of variables, but I make that decision before I tell people what I do. Now I'm retired from everything and I tell people what I did. But one real showstopper, depending on the person that's talking to me, when they say, oh, who are you, what did you do? I spent 40 years in a psychiatric hospital. And that tells me more about them and about how they view mental health and how they view I can watch their face and their eyes and see. And sometimes it's really scary the attitude people have towards mental illness. It's not a good attitude, it's not healthy. So, again, to answer your question, Joe, I do an assessment and then I base my answer on what I feel like doing.
Sounds like a guy who spent a lot of time in a mental hospital. Thank you so much, Rabbi. As always, your wisdom is surpassing and helpful.
And I think there was a song, I've learned the most from my students, or by my students I have been taught. And I want to end with that I've learned the most from both my patients, from congregants, and from individuals at parties, as much or more than I've learned from books.